Coming to you from the headquarters of the Veritas Center of American History and Our Godly Heritage, the place you go for truth. I'm Dr. Rick Saccone. Today we will address the minimum wage. Folks, with all the fuss by radical Dems to raise the minimum wage, let's talk about some actual facts. I see a lot of misinformation propagated by the left out there. Here is some context for one state, Pennsylvania. Democrat proponents are complaining about all these families affected by it. First fact, those earning minimum wage in Pennsylvania represent about 2.5% of total employment, a very small amount. And fact two, 80% of those earning minimum wage have no children, so there's no families involved. So now we're down to a number less than 1% of total employment. Democrats contend you can't raise a family on minimum wage. Of course, it was never intended to. Most of those jobs are low-skilled or introductory positions intended for young people or workers looking for second employment. In addition, fact three, almost 70% of those on minimum wage work part-time. Then we have the assertion that minimum wage earners are all low income that need help. Fact four, 17% come from household incomes over $100,000 a year, and nearly 30% from households over $75,000. Only 34% come from households under $30,000. So again, we're talking about a very small number, and we have many welfare programs like SNAP that, when utilized, boost their income well over a living wage, in some cases to as much as $50,000. Raising the minimum wage would help thousands of workers in demographics that do not need the help of the rest of us. Another important point, regional differences. $15 an hour is different in New York City than North Dakota. It does not make sense to force one standard on the entire country. Raising the minimum wage hurts small business, as Bernie the economic ignoramus Sanders found out recently with his own campaign team when, after a call to pay them $15 an hour, he was forced to reduce hours. Let me provide another example. A wonderful young businesswoman in my area started a dog grooming business and has now expanded to 3 locations. She employs over 24 people, mostly young people, that can make over $40,000 per year if they hustle. Their base wage is less than $15 an hour, but far higher than the minimum. If forced to raise the minimum wage to $15, she will have to let go many of her employees and raise prices, which could reduce her gross intake, possibly even forcing closure of one of her locations. There is no reason for government to interfere in anyone's private business. In fact, there is sound reason not to. Raising the minimum wage has a ripple effect on other employees in the business. Recently, an IHOP manager explained how he would have to cut hours and automate to cover employees he would lose. $15 at the busboy level means considerably more at the cook and head cook level. Not only does this policy harm workers, but it contributes to inflation, which has been mostly held at bay. There is another dirty secret why Dems are pushing this issue. Many wage contracts for skilled workers are tied to the minimum wage. So if the minimum wage rises, so does the wages of a plethora of jobs already earning much, much higher wages. Raising the minimum wage is a bad idea. The market works well when left to itself in this regard. Some companies already choose to pay much higher than the minimum wage, and that is fine. But government using the force of law to set wages is a counterproductive policy that actually hurts far too many of the people they propose to help. It is clear many lawmakers do not understand basic economics and rank among some of the most misinformed people in authority. For others, this is clearly an arbitrary political decision under the guise of wanting to help people while playing to the emotions of those thinking they will receive free money. Let's let the private sector work under the free market principles and set the wages. Until next time, in God we trust.